Welcome back, Blue Raider Nation, to another season preview for football, but this time on the offensive side. And we have Coach Bodie here with us, the offensive coordinator, but also the quarterback's coach. How are you doing today?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's go back in time, and I always do this with the coaches just to give more of Murfreesboro and the community more an in-depth inside look of where our coaches are coming from. So give us, just some history about your coaching overall.
So I played at Eastern Illinois University in the Ohio Valley Conference, played quarterback there. Knew I wanted to be a coach, so talked to the head coach and allowed me to come back, and he did. He allowed me to come back as a graduate assistant on defense for a year, and then I took off in my coaching journey. Started off at the Division III level at University of Wisconsin Stout, where I was the quarterback coach and offense coordinator. From there, I went to Oklahoma State 2014, 15, 16, worked with the quarterbacks, and then I had a great experience and a great opportunity to go to Eastern Washington University to be the offense coordinator there in 2017 and 2018. We had a really good run. We went to the national championship game in 2018. Unfortunately, got beat that night, but that was a great experience. From Eastern Washington, went to North Texas, where my son was born, Crew, and then Utah State, and then where I met Coach Mason was at Auburn in 2021, fast forward a little bit, where we got a chance to work with Bo Nix and Coach Bobo, and it was a really good experience, but most importantly, I had the opportunity to build a relationship with Coach. And then, a few years later, I was at Northern Iowa, being the offense coordinator there and coaching the quarterbacks, and Coach Mace called me to come to Murfreesboro, and couldn't be happier.
And with that, what you're saying, building that connection with Coach Mason and wanting to come here and start something and build something here, how special and how important was that for you?
Well, it's really important because I trust Coach. And you're kind of when you go into these situations and you're going to move there and you're moving your family there, and you got to work for a guy that you trust. And I trust him. I trust his vision. I believe in what he says and what he sees for the future for the Blue Raiders. So that made it really easy.
Yeah. With a lot of years underneath your belt for coaching, but for you specifically, how have you modeled your style of coaching when it comes to offensive strategy?
Well, I was affected a lot by my college coach, and Eastern Illinois is a small university, but had a good tradition of quarterbacks. Tony Romo and Jimmy Garoppolo, and not me, but I was played there, and so being coached by him was a big foundation for me, and had the fundamentals they taught me in the game. And then as you go throughout your career, you bump into different people or work for different people that kind of shape your ideology or how you want to see the offense. Coach Gundy and Coach Yersich at Oklahoma State were huge for me in regards to spread and throwing RPOs. And then I went to Eastern Washington, and they already had an established culture of offense. I was just I was coming in. I wanted to maybe improve it, but at the same time learn it. And I learned, moving receivers around and playing with tempo. That was an awesome experience at Eastern Washington. And then, you fast forward and you go to Auburn and Coach Bobo and their run game and how to allow the quarterback to control it at the line of scrimmage. And then, again, just putting your own flavor on it. I do believe that you have to do what you know. And if you're trying to do, things that look great on TV or, you see on YouTube, but you don't know how to teach them and coach them and the ins and outs, I think that's where you get yourself in trouble.
You've been a part, what you've been saying this whole time, of, a lot of nationally ranked offenses. But how specifically do you want to bring that success to MTSU football in your second year?
Well, we talked to the offense prior to fall camp, and what we want to be is explosive. And that starts with having a touchdown mentality every time you take the field. It doesn't matter to us where we get the ball, whether we're on the -1 and we're coming out, or we get it after a turnover or a big return and we're in plus territory. We want to score a touchdown and go get 6 as fast as we can in an aggressive manner as we can. And we believe by giving different guys the opportunity to make plays with the football, that gives us our best chance. So we'll spread the ball around to our playmakers and to our running backs and let the quarterback run the show.
Now we're going to be diving into this position group specifically, and we're going to first start with your offensive line because that's been a huge topic in the offseason, revamping it, really building them up, big stature overall. You're bringing in some guys like Jacob Otts, E.J. Harris. How are you think that they're going to be able to hold it down in the trenches for you guys this season?
Well, we're definitely bigger. Jacob's a mountain of a man. EJ's a great big dude, so we're definitely a little bit bigger up front. But what I think the biggest overall benefit that we've gotten is competition. We brought back guys like Marcus Miller and Ellis Adams and Zach Clayton, Mateo, the guys that have a lot of playing experience under the belt, and just bringing in those new bodies, it just created competition. And they say, rising tide raises all ships, and I think that's done that in the offensive line room.
and we mentioned this earlier before we got on the podcast, the don't need 5, need 8. And I'm sure that's coinciding with what you're saying right now.
Yeah, I think that just over the course of time, it's proven in football that the 5 guys that we run out there against Austin Peay probably aren't going to be the same 5 guys that are playing offensive line as you get deep into conference year. Those guys get banged up. So, you can't just hang your hat on 5 of them. You're going to need probably 8 guys to play in games to be successful. And so that's where the competition, the depth of that room comes in.
I've talked to Coach Mason about this, but this is obviously your line of being specific with things. With the offensive line, you really needed people to protect your quarterback, protect Nick Vadiato. And how do you think that you fully have prepared them when it comes to blitz action on the other side?
I think that you have to do it in practice, and we have a blitz period every day, and we have team pass every day, and those guys get live reps at protecting against Coach Stewart's defense, and that's the best way to do it, right? You can simulate in drills, you can simulate in one-on-ones, but they got to do it in 11-on-11 action, and I think that we've given them a lot of opportunity to do that in fall camp.
Now we're going to tight ends. You've also have some new guys on that side with Hunter Tipton, Tavion Galloway, but you have some other guys that are returning like Bodie Banky. How has that competition been? Maybe trying to make sure that both of because they're all different style of players. But how has that been for you looking at them?
Well, the first guy actually that I would mention in that room is Evan Potiker.
Okay.
And Evan had almost 250 snaps returning coming from last year. He's a guy that can play in the backfield. He can play on the inline, in the line of scrimmage. He's really physical in the run game. Came here as a walk-on. He earned a scholarship.
Just recently.
Yeah, just this past week. So really, really proud of Evan and what he's done. Because if you think of blue collar, when I close my eyes, I think of Evan Potiker. I think that's a guy that kind of epitomizes the core values of our program. And really, really proud of him. Now the other guys they came in to compete again to add depth and the competition to the room. So we're excited to see what Hunter and Tavion can do, especially in the pass game. I think they're very talented in receiving the football, but no block, no rock.
Love that. Okay, switching to wide receivers now. There's a bunch of new guys coming in, whether it's from Arizona, UCF, Michigan. I mean, they're all over. But what was important to you that you've talked about is with ball security, making sure that, it gets out of the hands fast and you have all these options to throw it to. A lot of more dynamic people. Tell me about that.
Well, I think that, obviously we're deeper in the wide receiver room. We have guys that can go get it. We feel like we have people that can run, and we have length out there. So big guys that are hard to cover is always a good thing. But I think an unintended consequence is it helps your protection because you get open faster. So I think that, the quarterback's less likely to hold the football when he has more answers on the field at one time. I thought, in the past year we did a good job throwing the ball, but this year it's going to look a little different, hopefully, where more guys are getting it and spreading it around. So we're excited.
With, like what we're saying, Kason Stokes, AJ, Najee Cox, but they're looking to maybe a leader like Miles Butler coming back into I've heard people call him Coach Butler just because he really takes on that role of being a leader so well. How has he been an asset for you?
Well, he's in the same line of guys of like Evan Potiker. He is blue collar. He is, a guy that is our program. That's what we want to be. And he is a coach on the field. He's willing to play different positions and have different roles. So Miles is selfless, tough, disciplined, physical, tough. He's everything that you want, and great kid on top of it.
We're going to go to running backs now. Jaquel Millbrook, he really flourished last season, but you're giving him the reins a lot when it comes into this season. And overall, how do you think he's going to really come out as a playmaker for your running game? And how do you just think overall that he's really improved his craft from last year to this year?
Well, I think that his vision has really improved. He's seeing the second level cut really really well right now. He's fast to the line of scrimmage, doesn't cut his feet, so he hits it at full gait when he's going. But I think we're really excited what he's doing, catching the ball out of the backfield too. I think just it's another way for him to get the ball, so he's not as one-dimensional this year. So we're excited what he can do in both areas.
Ricky Hunt Jr., another name in your running back room, but what have you been seeing from him? Because I feel like a lot of times maybe we're just talking about Jaquel Middlebrook, but you have some other weapons in your running back room that needs to be talked about.
Those other guys are people that we need to see live, more. Ricky and Austin Clemens and DJ Taylor, a freshman that has come in. They're talented, and now I just want to see how they protect the football and what they're going to be like when the bullets are live. And I think there's talent in that room. I really do. I think there's depth, but time will tell.
quarterbacks, which is your, one thing that you have really, over the past how many ever years, it's one specific thing that you really coach for a position is quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Vadiato, 5th year, hopefully going for his 3rd consecutive year of throwing 3,000 passing yards. But what have you seen from him? I know that he's been a leader, but you've mentioned that he really needed to step up and be vocal this season.
I thought, if you had one wish for Nick coming out of last year is he was a lead by example guy. I wish he would have been a little bit more vocal and kind of grabbed the locker room by the horns. I think over the course of the spring and the summer, he has really done a good job with that. We kind of left him alone in July and allowed the guys to do what's called PRPs or player ran practices, and Nick did a great job with it. And he was vocal and got it the way he wanted it to look, and they were efficient and organized. And that was kind of the test, or like the goal, was allowing him to do it because he needed to step up. And now he's carried into fall camp. He's much more vocal and demanding, and in a good way. But he expects a lot of himself, so he's going to expect a lot out of the people around him.
What we've already talked about, you've been around a lot of top-notch quarterbacks over the years, like Bo Nix. But for you, what have you seen from your quarterback in Nick Vadiato that makes him unique, unlike any others?
I think it's accuracy. I think he's accurate down the field. He can be accurate in the intermediate game and gets the ball out of his hand. He's a better athlete than maybe you give him credit for. I think he could be slippery and be used in the run game. So that'd be the things that I think kind of stick out.
Then let's go to Roman Gagliano. Another guy that's in your back pocket. And it seems like, for me, from my standpoint, he's always ready to go. He's always ready to step in whenever it's needed. How awesome is it to have someone like that who, is just constantly eager to learn?
Well, he's fun to be around. He's a great person, and I think that his energy and his attitude kind of affects his game and affects the people around him. And I think that's kind of what he brings to the offense is when Roman's in there, we're going to have a good time, and he's going to be ready to go, and I think that's a part of his personality that we don't ever want to take away. But a lot of his growth has been competition. He's been pushed by Stanley Anderson, a freshman that has come in, and a guy that has shown that he can play with the varsity and make plays. So just like any other position group, I think that ours has gotten better by added depth inside the room.
There's a quote that you said before, and I want to say and then get more of your thoughts on it, is play as one heartbeat and be interchangeable pieces. And this goes for your entire offensive side. Explain that more to me.
Well, you think about, first of all, up front in the offensive line. We kind of talked about we really need 8 guys to get through the year, and those guys need to be interchangeable. We can't miss a step when one person has to go out and another guy has to go in. They kind of have to be one heartbeat, one fist going together, no matter who's in there. And then you think about the skill positions. There's only one ball. And we talked about a bunch of people today, but there's only one ball.
Yeah.
And our collective success has to mean more than our individual success, and that's the heartbeat. And I'm going to cheer just as hard for my teammate when he gets his touch and he gets his chance to go show what he can do as I am when I get my own opportunity. I think that's it's a good thing to keep in mind for our guys.
Last question. You reap what you sow, right? And so during this off season, what have you really been planting within your players come game time that's going to help them flourish on August 30th?
With that, a touchdown mentality. Going back to that statement, and our guys having the confidence that when they step on the field, regardless of where they get it, when they get it, they can go score.
Perfect. All right, Coach. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time, and go Blue Raiders.
Thank you.